From the legendary Sweetwater Music Hall in Mill Valley, California, welcome to Cocktails with Bright Antenna Records. This week's guest, Kyle Nicolaides.
Hi people, welcome to Cocktails with Bright Antenna, video and audio podcast. Today we have with us Braden Merrick, president and head of A&R at Bright Antenna Records, and Bright Antenna recording artist Kyle
Nicolaides.
Yeah. Okay, how long have I known you, Kyle?
A long time.
How many years?
8.
8 years, and until right this moment, I thought your last name was Nicolaides.
Nicolaides?
Nicolaides.
Yeah. It's a funny story too, because I asked my dad one day, like a couple years ago, I was like, I need to know the correct way to pronounce this. And he gave me pause and didn't really know either.
Okay, then I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. He was like, the Greek pronunciation is Nicolaides.
Oh.
And then it looks like Nicolaides, but it's Nicolaides. So
when you were growing up, did kids make fun of you and turn that into something crazy? Because let me just tell you, when I was a kid, my classmates thought it was really funny to call me Tiffanie DeBartolo.
That's great.
Whoa.
I don't think I got made fun of that much for the last name. I just never.
What did you get?
To be honest with you, I didn't know how to spell it until like a week ago. What did I get made fun of for?
Yeah.
In high school?
Actually, grade school, childhood.
I got made fun of a lot for being feminine.
Oh.
So and it was because I grew up in Santa Barbara, which is mostly white and mostly like rich. Why are you laughing?
I was thinking of Yas Queen.
Yeah, well, that's the joke. Yeah, I know. So I got made fun of, I remember, and what I'm about to say sounds so absurd, because now, people wouldn't care. And it just goes to show, how Mickey Mouse growing up in Santa Barbara was. I got mercilessly teased for wearing tight jeans.
Wow.
And I remember in, 3rd or 4th grade, I wore a pair of white Adidas that are now classic and everybody wears, and got so I wore Jack Purcells, white Jack Purcells, those classic ones, and I got so much shit for it to the point where I didn't wear them anymore.
Wow.
Because kids would call me gay, they'd call me
that is
slurs.
lame.
Yeah, it's wild, right? So
you would think California would be better than
right?
that.
Yeah.
But I mean
Santa Barbara, it's
yeah. Nobody did that in Ohio.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't have that experience growing up where people were bullies and mean to each other.
Yeah.
Everyone in my high school were friends, but I also graduated in a class of 30 students.
I had 64.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this tour that you've recently been on with Alec Benjamin.
Yeah.
It's been going well, right?
It's been the most fun I've had on the road. And the most fun I've had playing shows.
Very cool. Why do you think that is?
I think I finally hit a point where I'm comfortable being myself. And
that is probably good for you in life and in music.
Yeah, and showcasing that, and there's such a simplicity to just playing acoustic, where it's vocals and guitar, and it's really intimate too, the shows. So, I mean, everything's sold out, but people are right in front of you, and it's almost like a conversation that I'm having with them. They'll shout stuff up, and then I'll respond to it, so.
And it is
that
really
wasn't very eloquent what I just said,
but it's cool, and it's
been,
for us, I think, because we've basically seen you grow up. You were 19 when we met you.
And now
do
I'm
you
38.
Remember? He's not 38. How old are you? 26?
28. I just turned 28.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild?
Okay,
That's
so
amazing.
It's
wow,
crazy.
so 9 years.
I'm alive still.
That is.
Yeah.
It's pretty astounding. So you were 19 when we met you. Do you remember your first impression of Kyle?
I mean, when I first got the demo sent to us,
which was what, Howl?
I think it was Hummingbird, and it was a video of you around
in the graveyard,
a Catholic monastery.
Santa Barbara Mission, yeah.
Yeah, Santa Barbara Mission.
Yeah.
And I was
Shot
like,
by
whoa, this
Cara.
kid is cool. And the video must have been making the rounds because I had some friends in the A&R community hit me up and say, oh, this kid, check him out. He's really cool. He's the next Jack White, was kind of what people were saying.
That's cool.
So.
Yeah, and then we met him. Do you remember when we met you?
Here I am, the next Mr. Rogers.
Do you remember we went to dinner?
Yeah, we went
to the studio or that
it was
rehearsal
Swing
space.
House.
It was Swing House.
Yeah.
And you were showcasing for us, and I think you were working with a guy.
Was it Tony? It was
Tony?
either Brandon Brown and Stanley Rudolph.
Tony was definitely
Was Tony
there.
there?
I think it was
It
a
was
guy
Tony
with a
and Brandon.
Pittsburgh Pirates hat,
I have
and he
no
played
idea.
bass.
I remember.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but we saw the show. You rocked out, and Tiffany and I were just kind of staring at each other and just
Yeah, I remember that clear.
into it.
I remember that
Because
very
it,
clearly.
it like
That was
blew our
fun.
hair
Yeah.
back. I mean, you were a rock star that day.
Yeah,
You
And
played
we-
Shooting Star,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Howl.
Probably all those songs.
I'm trying to think what else might have been in the set then, but those were the songs that were just like, holy crap, is
Yeah.
this Led Zeppelin 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember we went to dinner and had like hummus or something, and you couldn't drink.
Oh, because I was young. Yeah.
Yeah, you were too
Where did
young.
we go? It was like on Melrose somewhere. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
It was cool. It was
That
fun.
was cool.
And then
Good
here we
times,
are.
fun.
So speaking of drinking,
And here we are.
this is Cocktails with Bright Antenna, and I hear a rumor that you're going to make us a cocktail today.
Yeah. Full disclosure, when Scott was texting me about it, Scott, you can't see Scott, but he's in front of us.
He's producing this show
he
today.
said he's like, do you have any preferences for cocktails to make, or like what's your favorite cocktail to make? I could barely open a bottle of wine. Okay, so
I'm with you on that.
I texted my friend Anna and I said, what's your favorite cocktail, because I trust her.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, Anna, and she said mezcal with bitters. So let's give it a shot.
Full disclosure, I don't like mezcal, but because I love Kyle, I'm going to drink this.
I think that's great. All right, I'm gonna make 3 of them then. Okay.
Make 2, and I'll
2?
sip yours.
Wow, are you gonna? You'll have one, right?
I would do 4 to 2, yeah.
Okay. I meant like drink wise. Okay.
I'll have one, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
But in the
This-
meantime, we'll keep talking.
To be
while you're making it.
completely
We need a-
transparent and uncool, a guy who works at the venue told me how to make this, like 5 minutes before we started shooting,
So if it.
and I forgot everything he said.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was going to say, if we don't like it, then you're just going to say it was
Okay.
his fault. But nope, it's your fault.
All right, we're gonna take the glass, not the class. This is a class.
The class is gone
He said 4, all right.
already. What are you doing?
I'm making sure he gets like a good shot of me wiggling my
I have a
fingers.
thought.
Tell me what you thought.
I would use that
Oh,
cocktail
you're right.
shaker.
You're right. Thank you.
And
See, I already fucked
I'd
it up.
put some ice in there
You're right.
and then give the mezcal a 4 count.
Someone's gonna watch this and be like, "Man, I thought Kyle was really cool and sexy until he tried to make a drink."
No. You
Okay.
play guitar.
I know,
He's
right?
got it.
So give the mezcal
All right,
a
so
4
4?
count. Yeah.
1, 2,
3, 4.
3.
You're done.
4. Was that long? Was that too much?
That was like 6.
We have not drinking.
How are we counting? Well, all right.
For people who can't see, because some people will be
For
listening
people who
to
can't
this.
see, I just poured the entire bottle of mezcal
Some
in the
people
cup.
will not see this. Some people will be listening to this and not
1,
watching the video. And
2,
Kyle
that's it.
poured
Okay.
quite a bit
I
of
don't think so.
mezcal into
All right, we're gonna shake
the
it.
shaker.
You
Don't
wanna-
shake it
you
near
wanna
me.
stir it
I don't
first?
trust you. Should I move while you shake?
No, you're fine.
Okay, shake in that direction just
Wow,
in case.
okay. all right.
You actually won't have to shake it when you use that. You just strain, but put a big
Oh.
cube in the glass.
In these glasses, yeah. This is not going to be good.
We should have done like how to beat Mario Kart on the highest difficulty, because I could have slayed that.
That would have been cool. I just read something about how
Or how to
playing
proper-
video games makes you more creative.
No,
I
that's
read
great.
Oh, so you're set.
We
You're set in the creativity
I don't know if this is a very good
department.
story, but I'm gonna make 3. So that's
Are you on Twitch?
No, I should be.
What's Twitch?
It's like one of the biggest video gamer
It's like you stream it.
platforms. Yeah, you stream while you're playing.
Do you play Fortnite?
Nope.
Have
'Cause
you
I'm
ever
not a
played
12-year-old.
Fortnite?
No,
Do you know how to do any of the Fortnite dances?
no.
Oh,
I'm a
that's too
Nintendo.
bad.
Oh, that looks sexy. Can we get a zoom in on this?
No.
Come on.
Oh, we can.
Where are you? All right. Just
Yeah, the
slow.
lighting's really good
Oh,
for that
God.
drink.
It's like Martha Stewart.
It's amber like your guitar.
And yeah,
Amber Wood.
Amberwood. Oh, perfect. That's for you
Perfect,
too.
because that's all I'm gonna do.
Amber wood
Yeah,
like
so-
WOULD.
I don't tell people I play a lot of video games.
Well, too late for that.
I know, right? But
Dude, it's an amber alert.
yeah.
Cheers,
Cheers.
to your most recent release, which is an amazing EP.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Now or
Appreciate it.
Nowhere, Volume 1. Cheers.
Now or Nowhere, Volume 1.
Cheers.
I'm going to drink this one sip because I am one sip Sally.
I'll have all the sips for you. One sip, Sally.
Ah,
Whew. That's great. What are you talking
You did a
about?
good job.
I
It
dude.
tastes
hate
great.
mezcal. I hate mezcal. I hate mezcal.
You can't even taste the
I
mezcal.
can taste it. It tastes like
Are
you
we
cooked
calling-
this
about-
over a campfire.
Are we calling this drink
What?
the vulnerable?
Yeah.
The Vulnerable.
Yeah.
This is called The Vulnerable after one of Kyle's
It
songs.
tastes great.
And let me
I'm
tell you,
sorry.
the song is way better than the drink. And now, while you drink your drinks, let's talk
I'm
about
just
some
kidding.
other things. Let's get back to this tour.
Yeah.
The audience, it seemed to me from following your Instagram stories
Oh,
that
fuck. I forgot the orange. I'm sorry.
don't bother with mine.
I'll
You
take
can't make it better.
I'll take a piece of peel.
Okay.
So it seemed to me from following your Instagram stories that a majority of the crowd were teenage girls.
Yeah.
And it also seemed to me that they had
I'm really nervous about what you're about to say.
they dubbed you the Queen.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Queen.
And do you remember what I texted you after I kept seeing this? Kyle, did you come out of the closet
Yep.
on this tour?
Yep. Yeah.
Do you want to address those rumors?
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, okay, first of all, with the band, I was used to the crowds I was in front of, I was used to having like
The opposite.
55-year-old to
Dudes.
60-year-old men coming up to me after the set and being like, bro, can I touch your guitar? What kind of pickups are in your guitar? And it's like, I'll see like the cute people, boys or girls, at the other end of the bar. And then I have this like, nothing against like old men who like guitars, but I love playing guitar. I don't want to talk about it with people.
Okay.
But I'd have
Duly
them coming up
noted.
and they're just like, oh, like one guitar, and then tell me about like the first time they saw Motorhead, and I'm just like, I can't fuck with that. So it's been nice having a younger audience. So I think there's two reasons for the Queen references, and the first is obvious, where I have remnants of nail polish on.
Well, that seems stereotypical.
I have remnants of nail polish on because I was a drag queen for Halloween. So at some of the shows, a girl would shout, "Why do you have nail polish on?" And I'll tell them, because I was Deborah on Halloween. And then they go on my
Pardon me
Instagram
for
and they see
wiping my
Deborah.
nose.
So then, can we
My
get a
nose
close
is
up on
running.
that? Okay.
Sorry.
No, so I think obviously because I was a drag queen, then they say, "Oh, queen," you know. And then the second reason, it's like my aunt. So my aunt had the same thought because she's like, "Why the fuck are all these preteens calling you queen?" And she looked up the slang dictionary term. I sound like a fucking old man right now.
No, you
like she went
don't.
on slang dictionary and looked up what queen means, and it's like a term of endearment for like I don't know, like a leader or like somebody in charge or something.
Oh.
And the third reason is probably because I'm, you know, I think I was texting you or Braden, and I was like, maybe they know something I don't.
Yep, that was me. You said
Maybe
that
they
too.
know. Yeah.
Dude, you've come full circle. Like, what grade were you in where you were being made fun of?
Well, that's
were they
the
12,
well,
13?
No, they were a little bit younger, and like that's the thing too, where it's just like I remember growing up and not like realizing I had feminine energy.
It's important
did,
for men to
because
embrace their feminine energy.
Well, here's the thing. I was 8 and I asked for Polly Pockets when I was 8.
I don't know
Like
what that is.
it's a Barbie basically. Like I asked for like a Polly Pocket playhouse. So I wasn't wearing dresses as a kid, but I was like, I didn't really care if something was for boys or for girls, you know? And then like, I think in high school, I like kept that, but I didn't realize it was something to be proud of, I think, you know? Cause like
Right.
I have a close friend, Vitana, and like she notices it a lot because she's really intuitive and she's like, you have feminine energy. And that's why I love you. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. I appreciate that.
I
Like I can't
appreciate
relate to the
that
macho
about
guy.
you, too.
So they probably pick that up or pick up on that. And to be honest with you, like for a bunch of teenage girls to call me queen is like the highest compliment I've ever got.
Good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have you asked them what they meant?
You know? No. I just kind of took it
Okay.
and ran with it.
Well,
so.
if anyone calls you that tomorrow night at the show, I'm definitely going to ask them why.
You
I'm
should.
going to delve a
I'm
little
sure,
bit
yeah.
deeper into that.
Okay.
We're going to solve this mystery.
Kyle, how about you play a song for us?
Sounds great, Tiffany.
What are you going to play for us?
Well, got some original songs lined up. The first one's called All Is Right in the World Tonight.
Okay, let's get to it.
It's a song about being human, which I've heard is great. Beautiful morning under nuclear skies, the comfort of knowing that we might not survive. Who needs tomorrow when we've got war today? Linear of life on earth, humans don't change. All is right in the world tonight, and I've got nothing on my mind. I feel the hands of God beginning to slip as I fall into the sun, left alone, abandoned in myself. Time changes nothing, just faces and names. Cycles repeat and nature's the same. It's a terror of knowing there might be nothing to fix. The short time we're given, the game has been rigged. All is right in the world tonight, and I've got nothing on my mind. I feel the hands of God beginning to close. He sees what we've become. If we could, we'd privatize the sun. Who do you think you are? It's my first time through life. I don't like the view at all. Expecting that others will see like you do, is believing the sunset was made just for you. We live in a world where everyone is their own god, alone in their kingdoms, all victims of fraud. All is right in the world tonight, and I've got nothing on my mind. I feel the heart of God beginning to break. I look away, forget I brought up the whole thing. Who do you think you are? It's my first time through life. I don't like the view at all.
What's your favorite
I'm gonna reach for a
song
tater tot.
on the new EP? What do you think? I'm gonna eat
Oh,
a
that's
tater
so
tot, too.
gross. Just me eating a tater tot on audio.
I ate one.
What's my favorite song to play?
Which one means the most
Oh.
to you? Those are good.
I know. Which one means the most? I think I like them all for different reasons. I'm trying to think what's on it. I like them all for different reasons. Like, if we can just go through it, like, I like One Breath at a Time for the piano sounds. And just like, to me, that feels like 2000, like if the Beatles had hip hop production, like auto-tune, like that's what it feels like to me. So I like that one. I like Slide because it's weird and there's some guitar playing in it that I think is unique and inspiring. Like unique to me. Like if I say like, what do I have to offer as a guitar player? Like it would be that. Like there's a break in it that's pretty cool. Same with everything she does is like, I don't know. I like all of them.
If someone were to ask you, I know you don't like to talk about guitar playing.
No, it's
but-
fine. I'll talk about it all day long because like there's the ego part of me wants to be known as a guitar player.
But the thing is, you are a guitar player. I mean,
I was a guitar player first before anything.
and you know, I've been at shows with other musicians watching you who have, their jaw drops when you play and they say, that's the best guitar player I've ever seen.
Oh, really? That's neat.
So, talk about what guitar playing means to you. How long have you been playing? When did you pick it up? Why do you like to express yourself with that instrument?
You know what's weird is that I relate to okay, so I started playing piano first, and that instrument I feel like I can get lost in. And I don't feel like I can get lost in guitar. And people think I'm a better guitar player than a piano player, obviously. But I started playing piano first, and then I thought piano was lame as fuck. So of course I switched to the clarinet. Because that seemed like a good idea.
If you were going to talk about his strengths, you're a better judge of musicianship than I am. What would you say his gifts as a guitar player are?
I think Kyle's guitar playing, it's very classic sounding, he reminds me of, Prince, Jimmy Page, but he can get heavy too, like Kim Thayil from Soundgarden, or
That's cool.
That's cool.
Robert DeLeo from STP. And that's what I wanted to know is, what made you pick up the guitar? Was there a certain influence? Because you sound very classic, but then on this EP, you got really experimental with tones and took it to a whole different level than you did with B.O.D.
I feel like B.O.D. was more like riff writing and me being like, I want to be in a rock band.
And let me interrupt you really quick. For people who don't know, that your first two albums that you put out were with a band called Beware of Darkness.
Yeah.
And then this is your sort of first foray into solo music.
Yeah. It's to be honest with you, not because I've been lying to you guys the whole time. When someone says that, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're like, that doesn't mean anything right now, because I hope you're honest with me all the time. But I wanted to play bass because I idolized Paul McCartney.
Wow.
So I grew up listening to only the Beatles, and then got some Aaron Carter snuck in there, which was me being like, I'm gonna rebel against my parents.
Did you say Aaron Carter?
I did say Aaron Carter. Aaron's Party. That was the first record I got. I'm not proud to say, but
I'm gonna listen to that when
I know.
I get home.
So I walked into Jensen Guitar, which is the local guitar shop in Santa Barbara, and I told him, hey, I'm a left-handed bass player. That's what I want to be. Like, I write left-handed, I'm gonna do that. And the guy, Dave Heckhouse, looked at me and he's like, nope, you're gonna play guitar because it's easier to switch from guitar to bass than it is to go from bass to guitar. And
thank God for Dave.
and you're gonna play right-handed because no one can find left-handed guitars. So
that guy did
that's
you
how
a
I felt.
favor.
No, he did me the biggest favor. So he gave me the tools to go back to bass because I love bass so much. Like, that's, again, like, I go home to that. And honestly, it's like the same thing with being a singer. Like, I didn't want to sing. Like, I joke to this on the road to people, and they like think it's sad, but like, there wasn't one person who was like, hey, you have a great voice, you should sing. Like, no one said that to me. It was more just like, I was in Santa Barbara, and we go back to like it being like the cultural equivalent of like a Gap ad. And I just said, okay, I have to do it because I can't find anybody. And what's weird about guitar playing too is that Joanna Newsom, do you know who that is?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Her first record.
Andy Sandberg's wife.
Yeah, her first record,
Good one.
I think, had the biggest impact on me as a guitar player.
Her first record is
It's
beautiful.
mind-blowing. And it's not on Spotify, it's not anywhere, but like, I was thinking about that because I think that had the biggest impact. I mean, Jimmy Page did obviously too, But it was, I think my biggest thing as a guitar player, and like, yeah, like the EP is really experimental. Like, I'm jumping up like octaves on full songs, and I think it's me trying to find my voice as that. Because with the band stuff, the biggest thing I got annoyed at was people being like, oh, you sound like Led Zeppelin, or like which is great. I mean, it's better than like you sound like Flock of Seagulls, Not funny?
No, it's funny.
Okay.
It's very funny. What's your favorite?
Although I Ran is a great
I
song.
mean, I like Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Led Zeppelin song?
10 Years Gone.
Oh, mine's Full in the Rain.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yours? If you had to pick one.
did
Also,
you-
Tangerine. It's a tie.
Jeff Buckley's cover of Night Flight,
I've never heard that.
unreal. It is unreal.
Whoa.
I would say Cashmere. I just love
That's
the
classic.
groove.
It's classic, right?
So speaking of old bands and greats, who are your biggest influences?
Is in terms of what? Like,
I mean, not really as guitar player, but as, you listened to
like
them and
growing
you
up?
said, I want to do this. Or the songs and the bands and the albums that make all your hair stand up.
I think it changes.
Yeah.
What, like,
What is it right now? What's moving you right now?
right now, all I've been listening to
Don't you dare
is
say Kanye.
no.
You're
I was
outta
gonna
here.
get to that. Because I was gonna go through like just a little like timeline. But right now, all I've been listening to is Nick Drake.
Oh,
Like
that's,
Spotify has the This Is Nick Drake. Like I've been
you
listening
must be
to
in
that.
a really good mood.
You think so? Oh, okay. I know. And then I've been listening to video game soundtracks, which I know is kind of weird.
I didn't even know that existed.
Well, if you want to talk about musical influences, I think too that where I learned like chord progressions and stuff was from video games.
Wow.
Like the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 soundtrack, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Michael Jackson did that.
What?
I don't know if you knew that.
I had no
I
idea.
He
I had no
wrote all
idea.
the music, and
What?
it's a rumor, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Like I
Is
talked to a
Quincy
close friend
involved
about
with
it.
that?
I don't think that's
so.
true.
Because it was when all
Anyone
like
who's
you don't think it's
listening
true.
to this podcast,
Someone will
can
check
you just
us on
like elucidate us on
Yeah.
this?
But I remember here, and the same with like I went to Catholic school. It was like same going to that where like
too.
I remember there were chord changes that hit me in the heart, and the same with the Sonic soundtrack.
You mean at school, like
yeah,
at mass?
like because
do you know the
we'd
song
be in
"Be
mass.
Not Afraid"?
Yeah,
I love that one.
yeah. Be not afraid. Is that how it goes?
Yep.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. I think those had a big like Ocarina of Time. The music in that is really strong, and you listen to it in the video game. But I was listening to someone re-recorded them and did orchestral arrangements of it, and it's mind blowing. So I think it was like actually it's funny. It was a combination of that.
Ignore him.
It was a combination of that and I lost my train of thought because I just saw that sign.
So when you, we've obviously had a ton of discussions about the music when you're making this EP, and
Yeah.
you'd always talk about Kanye West as a influence. Like, I want it to sound like this
Yeah.
meets my Twisted Dark Fantasy, which is a Kanye West
Yeah.
record, and then him being a known Trump supporter. How does
And
that
just
make you
I
feel?
don't.
general,
I
a
don't condone
psychotic
him as a
asshole.
person. I don't condone
Yeah, I
him as a
said it.
person at all. Yeah, it was true, but everything after my dark, twisted, beautiful fantasy or whatever, I can't get behind. Or no, I'm sorry, Yeezus. Here's the thing. I think
Can
Yeezus.
I make a confession before you can finish the story? I recently bought a really cute pair of shoes online. They're like these sandals that have fake fur, like plush fake fur around them, and
Yeah.
they're so cute. And I bought them online, and I put them on, and I was walking around my house in them, and I sent a picture of them to my sister, like, look at my cute new sandals, and she said, those are Kanye sandals. What is
Gotcha.
it? Yeezy or something?
Yeah. You bought Yeezys?
I did.
Joke's on you.
I know. Anyway,
Congratulations. You
so
played
I
yourself.
can
I'm
I
just
can
kidding.
trash Kanye all I want,
You
but
still like him?
I still wear his shoes.
They're great. I think Yeezus is the best rock record of the past like 20 years or something.
Is it a rock record?
It's a hip hop rock record, yeah. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about him. I love his music. I think he's one of the best artists of this century.
To be fair, I've never actually listened to his music.
All right.
I just don't like his personality.
Well, yeah, he's a dickhead, you know? He's a massive dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy told me a story where he was interning for John Bryan. And
Love John Bryan.
I love John Bryan. And you want to talk about what I'm listening to? Like, he's like one of my top
Super
dudes
talented.
ever. Yeah. But he said John Bryan was working on a Kanye record, and every time Kanye would come to the studio, he'd move all the chairs because he didn't want Kanye to like sit down and hang out.
Oh my God. I wonder if that's true.
It's probably, it is, because my buddy was there. I think, like, here's where I'm coming from too, where like, my problem with rock music right now, growing up in rock bands, I cut my teeth, we talked about this, I cut my teeth with the Hives, the White Stripes, Jet, Wolf Mother, the Vines, like I grew up on that, okay?
Great
And
bands.
they all wrote their own songs, they were pushing the genre forward, and they were all original in their own right. Rock is dead now, because all the bands that people are freaking out about are cover bands, okay? And you have Kanye West, like, I know you don't
Greta
like,
Van Fleet.
yeah, dog shit. And I know Kanye is pushing genres forward, and I love Yeezus because he took elements of rock and sampling with hip hop drums and made something really new. And I know people don't like that record, but I love it. Like it's for, and this is where my taste is wild because like I listened to Grace by Buckley for an entire year straight. Like I listened to the whole thing every day.
I did the same thing in 1999.
Yeah. And I Yeezus is the same way. Where like, and My Dark Beautiful Twisted Fantasy is the same way. And like Mike Dean, Kanye's producer, is like he's my idol.
I did that with High Violet for 2 years, not one.
What is that?
The National.
Oh, the
album.
National? Okay.
2 years. It was the only thing I listened to.
You had a conversation with Mike Dean.
I'm gonna drink your drink.
Correct?
Please.
No, I didn't.
Please drink my drink.
Claudia's friends with him,
Got it.
but I love him. So it's like all the gear I bought is because Mike Dean uses all that gear. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
Well, what else
So
would you like to talk
I
about?
think like I know it gets super fucking dorky when you talk about like mixing rock and hip hop because you get into like Limp Bizkit territory.
Yeah.
You know, but I think Kanye's the only guy who's like done it in a way where it's like, yo, this is dope as fuck. You know?
I hope we can like bleep out that phrase Limp Bizkit because man, I don't want to have that attached to my name in any sort of way. But let's talk about non-music things
what do you
for
want
a
to talk
while.
about?
I know we have something in common, and
We're
that is
Scorpios?
no, because
We're
I'm not a
hu-
Scorpio.
are you- what?
I'm a
Oh,
Sagittarius.
shit,
You're a
okay.
Scorpio.
We're both people?
We both love and have a dedicated yoga practice.
Yeah.
What does yoga mean to you? Why do you do yoga? And you're a certified teacher,
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah. So
How'd you get into that?
2 years ago, when we were doing the Are You Real record, I was such a mess emotionally because I couldn't, to be honest, I just said it again, but it just felt like everything was on the verge of collapse, like hourly. And I don't know if you've had like times in your life like that.
I certainly have.
Where you just get to a point where you're like, why am I even trying
once a
to do
month
this?
that happens
really?
to me.
Well, this was like every day. I was in LA, I was in Westwood, and it was every day where I was like, yo, it feels like I'm trying to keep something together that has been on the verge
anxiety.
of falling apart. And in the past, like, I've had anger issues to just blistering rage. And I never took it out on other people. It was all like internal, you know, and like depression and anxiety. And 2 years ago, that was my daily ritual, which like even like setting up a photo shoot took 3 weeks. Trying to do anything was just impossible. And like we had a tour coming up and I was like, yo, this is not, my quality of life is awful. And I somehow it was like a Groupon for core power, which is like now I do yoga and it's not fucking yoga.
But it's a good start.
But it was a good start. And all I knew was I feel better. Like this is an hour of my day and I'm not thinking about is my life going to fall apart
This
tomorrow?
is what I love about yoga. I go into a class and when I come out of it, I realize that I haven't thought of anything at all.
That's the point. That's it. It's presence.
Yep.
It's being mindful. So I got into it for that, for saying like physically it feels good and emotionally I feel better. Like it's sacred time to do that. And then it became a daily practice. And then I didn't know anything too. Like not that I know anything now, but I just fucked my way around and didn't.
Do you mean
know.
literally?
No, I fell on a lot of people, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I just did it. And
Yeah.
I was doing everything wrong, is what I'm trying to say. But I know I felt better.
But I
And
don't
then it
think
wasn't
there's
until-
a doing things wrong in yoga.
Well,
There's just
I mean, there
there's
is.
just moving and breathing.
Yeah,
and
I mean, doing things wrong to get hurt or like something.
yeah.
But it wasn't until like 6 months, probably, or 7 months in, where I was like, yo, there's such a spiritual benefit to this, and it's a way of life.
It is.
And the parallels to songwriting and recording and playing shows, I'm just gonna wave this tater tot around, are endless.
Well,
which is what
go ahead and
which is
eat
what
it, and I'll
excited
say
me.
that what I think I hear you saying, and is what is my experience with yoga, is
Yeah.
that, like, you know, I run to keep my body in shape, and I know people do yoga to keep their body in shape, and it does shape your body. It's great for your body, but I don't see yoga as an exercise for my body. I see it as an exercise for my spirit.
Right?
And that's the way I feel after
Yeah.
I do it, is that I've strengthened my spirit.
Yep.
Is that too woo-woo
self-care.
for this?
No. It's
self-care.
spiritual. It's spiritual exercise. That's
Yeah.
the way I think about it.
Yeah,
You know?
It
And,
is. It really is.
You know, and like the whole becoming a yoga teacher thing, like it was more just like, I don't know if you ever had shit like this too, where it was like, when I was younger, I just wouldn't do stuff for myself. I'd be like, oh, I want to do this, but I'm like, no, I can't. For like whatever reason, because I'm like, I have to do music, you know? And like, this was the first time where I was like, you know what? Like, it took me like till 26 till I actually felt like a fucking person.
Yeah.
So like for me,
Good for you, because it took me to 40 to feel like that.
Really? I mean, for me, it was just like, I was like, I'm just gonna do this for myself. Like, keep it to me, and then, I don't know. And it was also too, it's like, I don't know. I heard stories about like Lou Reed, like after the Velvet Underground broke up, he like went back to like typing at like an office building or something. So I was like, you know what? Like, I just want to like, it means a lot to me and it's helped me. So like, I'm gonna like keep digging further.
And it's just another way for you to share your gifts with the world.
Well, yeah, and it's crazy because like I think this tour has been so much fun because of all the lessons I've learned in yoga, and from that, like training. Yeah,
Can you
and I mean
say more about that?
Yeah, so the parallels between yoga and songwriting, and even recording and live shows, I feel like can all fit in the same thing, the same like bracket where, you know, every day when you show up to your mat, every day when you show up to play a show, it's like you're in a different, it's like the first time you're doing it, you know?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, it doesn't matter what happened last month, doesn't matter what's gonna happen tomorrow. If you just show up and do your best and know you do your best, like that's okay. And like some days you're gonna suck, some days you're gonna feel like God, some days you're gonna like struggle through it and like it'll be uncomfortable, but like if you just keep showing up with like the best attitude you can and saying like I'm gonna, even if I'm uncomfortable, being like I'm gonna sit with this and hold space for it and not beat myself up.
Right.
Like there were so many tools I think from the teacher training.
So much
I took teacher training at Power of Your Own in Santa Barbara. Yeah, and that's the thing, because like I was somebody who, there's a quote from the Four Agreements, which I love, and he said humans are the only organisms on Earth that will make a mistake and pay for it 10,000 times. And I was in that category. Like I don't know if you've seen Planet Earth.
Some of it.
So there's that famous scene of the lizards being born, and within 3 seconds of them coming to life, there's 10,000 snakes trying to eat them.
Whoa.
So yeah, so they're born and then they're outrunning all these snakes, and these snakes are vicious, and there's literally 10,000 of them trying to eat these lizards, and the lizards get away and they get on a rock, and there's a final shot at the end of them just kind of like sticking their tongue out, looking around, and then they just get on to life.
And they've literally been born a minute ago.
Yeah, and you think about like people, like I was the kind of guy where like if a girl looked at me wrong in high school, there was nothing, like she didn't even notice it, I'd be like wrecked for like 4 months, and then I'm gross now. Carry it with me, you know?
Yeah.
So like for me, like it was shows like that where like if I made a mistake during a show or I fucked up a show, I'd crucify myself for weeks and just beat myself up about it. So I think yoga just being like, yo, like not every show is gonna be God. Like it's okay if you fuck up, but like it's gonna do you no good to like beat yourself up about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's commitment and showing up.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like it's knowing what you can control. And honestly too, like the other thing, like I was talking to a friend about this because they said something like, do you get nervous or like do you have any expectations for the shows? And I said no, because you never know how something's gonna be until you get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's easy to approach situations and experiences like that.
You don't think so?
No, I want it to be, but sometimes
when you realize
it isn't. Yeah,
you don't
you're
think
right.
so? Because here's the thing, it's like there's a
I just think more people should approach their life that way.
Because I think so too.
It's hard. We have expectations.
Well, but it kills. When you have no expectations of, we're getting like Tony Robbins land.
I know.
But when you have no expectation, no, but it's important. When you have because someone might hear this and it might change their life, or my aunt might hear it. When you have no expectations of yourself and other people, that's when like the best things happen. And shows are like that because, you know, last week like we went out in Denver and I got so day drunk, like accidentally day drunk.
The day of the show?
No, the day before the show, and like was so fucked up the next day.
Well, and the altitude.
No one told me that.
And you're like,
dude, I know.
on another planet.
Like after I was hungover as fuck, somebody was like, hey, like you know, like the altitude, it's like you need to drink 3 times the amount of water, and I was like, I wish I would have known that before I had
And
9
how many times
tequila
have you played Denver?
Too many times to fucking know. So, or too many times to not know. So, you know, the whole day I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to sing. Like, I don't know. But the whole idea of like playing shows, and it can be yoga too. It's just like, if you go in with a mindset where you're like, I'm not at my best, like I'm going to fuck it up, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But I've played too many shows to just trust the process and be like, even if I feel like shit, even if I'm tired, I'll just show up and maybe something magical will happen. Maybe I'll see someone looking at me and they're having the best time of their life.
Right.
Maybe someone says something to me and it turns into an experience bigger than I ever could have imagined. And
Well,
like David Lynch is like that. Like,
Well, I was going to say, I think all artists can say that that's their experience when they're creating. I mean,
you can't
as a
choke
writer,
Yeah.
it's the same way. Like,
I'm
if
sure
I
you've had-
come to the table with too many expectations about how I want this to be
Right.
or how good I want it to be, it's crap.
Yeah.
You know, the minute I can let go and just let whatever's going to come, and then worry about if it's good later,
Well,
that's where the magic happens.
and how many times have you sat down to write and something comes up and you're like, I never could have planned for that?
Well,
That was
I mean,
phenomenal.
the book that
Right?
I'm finishing right now is a perfect example of that. The major plot point in the book, like the moment that changes the whole story and is the most crucial
Yeah.
point in the story, I had no idea until I got to that scene, and I was like, wait, oh my God, this is so and so, and it would be a completely different book. Are you gonna have more of that?
Yeah.
Good
I'm
for
listening
you.
though.
You're gonna make
No.
another
That's
one?
cool. Yeah, we have some.
You're day drinking.
I don't care. I have nowhere to be.
It's really late
But that's
afternoon.
the best part about it,
It
though,
is
right?
the best part. I mean, that is the magic.
Because David Lynch talks about that. Even going to the studios like that, where it's like, if you have 70% there and you give the 30% to the universe, like whoever.
Yeah. But here's the ticket for that, though, is that a lot of people misunderstand that magic. They think that
Well,
you just have to sit around and wait for the
no.
magic, and that's not what happens. What
You gotta
happens
work.
is you've got to fucking put in the work.
You have
You've got to every single day. You've got to toil for it,
Yep.
and then eventually, that's what it turns into.
Yeah,
But it's really about the work. It's
You're
really
right.
about putting in the hours.
you're right. And that's like, I think that's the key to it. And it's pretty unsexy.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, anything that turns into magic is sexy to me.
Yeah, you're right.
Think we could talk you into one more song?
Why, sure. Let me finish up my tater tot. I'll play a song
What are you gonna play?
called The Space Between Us.
I like this one.
That's a keeper. I'm just fucking
Minutes and miles, they measure the space and time between you and me. Pissing away my youth, I'm miserable here. I hope that you're miserable there too. So space in between us is keeping me from you. Poets and priests, they warn me of history's blood for those who fall in too deep. Old men shake their head and scoff, say, tough and a boy. It's only love. It's a space in between us, it's keeping me from you. Time since I saw you, just cracking my earth into pieces. The men who own the airplanes don't understand how much it means to me. I'm too young and dumb to trust in the universe and hope that it will all work out. So space in between us, it's keeping me from you. So time since I saw you, just cracking my earth into pieces. I don't want my face to be a memory. I want it to be the first thing you see when you wake up next to me, smiling, 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 vacant mind, I'm walking miles across the world to your house. I hope you're home. I hope you're home.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about the evolution of you as a person, from when we met you at 19 till Kyle at 28. Who were you then? Who are you now? And who do you want to be in the future? Big questions. Well, and while you think of that, can you tell us your first impressions of us?
Yeah. Of you guys?
When you met us way back? Like, why did you sign with Bright Antenna?
Well, my first thought was, Braden has been like, what I'm about to say is like so sincere. And I hope it comes off as sincere.
Cry in this podcast
but
because that would be
he's
so
like,
tender.
He's introduced me to life. Like, I've had so many like experiences with him where he's either like gone out to dinner or like gone to a show or like gone to something, and they were just pivotal moments of my life where I was like, this is one of the best experiences I've ever had. You know, like,
That's nice.
and I'm gonna sound like super bougie and super white, but it's like having Mary's chicken for the first time and like knowing that like food's organic and like just knowing that, and like I had no idea. Or like going to a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco and you said, give us what the chef likes. And I remember being like 19 and being like, what?
What a
Like,
great idea.
he's just gonna bring out food he wants? Like, so it's like super dorky stuff like that.
That's great.
You know? So like, I will never forget that, and I appreciate that forever.
You're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you were willing participant.
Yeah. So I think there's so many experiences like that.
That shows your open-mindedness.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. I think just like showing me what life was really important. And like, you know what I'm most thankful for too is like that you guys hold space and trust me, you know? Because like, when you talk about supporting an artist, you guys are the kings and queens of that.
It's one of our goals.
Yeah, and I feel that. And I think when we started working together, I had a goal of like, I just need to learn how to like make records and tour and get good at it and learn how to do it without having like crazy shit happening, you know, and being like, oh, you didn't have like a top 10 like pop hit, like we're gonna drop you, you know, and just like holding space for that.
Right.
So like for me, that's like the most sacred thing in the world because no one does that anymore,
Right.
you know?
For better or for worse,
like,
that's who we are.
Yeah. So the fact that like y'all allowed me to like make records and tour, and then people like those records and people like the show, like that's a miracle to me.
Yeah, it's
So,
a slow build, you know.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
a long road, but
Yeah.
we take steps forward every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So like that means the world. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
Mhm.
All right. What's the question?
Who were you at 19? How have you evolved? How do you see yourself evolving from here on?
So here's the thing. What I'm about to tell you, I'm not going to give myself any credit for anything. Okay? Because I'm only going to focus on like who I wasn't and what I didn't like about myself.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was like 19 or 20, I was going through like it was a pretty long patch of depression from
Wow.
like 18 to maybe 20, 21. And then you add anger into that. So we'd be touring and stuff, and I would take my anger out on stage and scare people.
Wow.
And I know it's like, I'll tell people that, and they're like, no, you're so friendly. And I'm like, I
never saw that.
the fuck out of anybody.
I actually saw it, and you
Did
could
you?
see it in certain facial expressions in the
Yeah,
howl
and
video.
it was
whereas
yeah.
the sinister.
It was like I was having like a breakdown for a couple of
Wow.
years, and it got to the point where like we're doing that Pumpkins tour, and I was so angry that the tour manager, who obviously did the Pumpkins, he did Kanye, he did Ludacris, like he pulled me aside and he's like, you need to chill the fuck out. He's like, no one wants to be around this. And we were in Amsterdam, like I remember the moment where I
Wow.
just stormed off stage, and it's like I went through like a weird learning curve of like, no one wants to be around that, and people don't pay to see you angry. I didn't know it.
People pay to see some people angry,
Yeah,
but
I guess you're right. But but
it's not your spirit. That's not who you are.
No, and it's funny because I picked up a diary that I kept during like the BOD years of us touring heavily, and every single page is like, Dallas, like, so unhappy, like, and I hate talking about this because it's like, I don't want to be the dude who's like, I'm fucking crazy, because like, I'm fine. But it was like, wanna die, Dallas. And then it was like, Austin, like, wanna kill myself. And then I kept flipping through it, and it was like, London, like, so unhappy, like, so tired.
Oh my
so,
God.
Yeah, it was wild. And I look back at it and laugh now, but at the time I was just like, Jesus, I was a wreck, you know?
Were you sharing these feelings
Nope.
with anyone?
Because I thought being a leader was, my whole leadership aesthetic with the band was everyone take care of yourself. I'm in so much pain right now that I can't possibly be there for other people.
Wow.
So I need to take care of myself. And doing that, you just isolate everybody.
Right.
So I didn't tell anybody about it. And then it wasn't until I started doing TM, which is Transcendental Meditation, like, which I started because I read David Lynch's book, Catching the Big Fish, that it took away my anger in days.
Wow.
The first time I did it, I felt sublime. Like, you do it sometimes and you feel this like full body orgasm, and it's like,
Wow.
it's presence, it's bliss. It's like going into that like endless consciousness. So like that helped me a lot. And
Do you know what caused the anger? What were the triggers?
it was just not being happy with things. Like, I wasn't happy with our set, so I would trash guitars. And I wasn't happy with how we were doing things. And I was so green to the whole thing that I was a control, not a control freak, but I held everybody to like an unfair standard. So then when I broke that standard, it's a complete like hypocrisy.
Wow.
Instead of just like trusting things and letting it be. And I also think too, I think the biggest thing is I didn't want to work on myself. So I would get up on stage, I couldn't sing the notes, I couldn't play as well as I wanted to. And instead of saying, oh, how about I go work on myself for 2 months and then come back and I can do it, I'm just gonna get fucking angry and take it out on our guitar tech
And that's
or our bass player.
the bottom
To
line.
the
That's
point.
insecurity.
It is insecurity, and it's a fear of looking at yourself in honesty and saying, well, fuck, the mental image I have of myself versus who I actually am they're a mile apart. And instead of saying like, well, what can I do today to change that? It was more just like, it's easier to like scare. It was fucked up. I mean, there was a couple points where like I remember our guitar tech or even Dan or like our tour manager like being afraid to talk to me because they're just like, whoa,
Oh, boy.
you know? So
Somehow you kept this from the label.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Well, but you have to understand
we
too, like
would've
I'm
been
an
there
only
for you.
child. I don't,
Right, you're not
communication's
used to-
not my forte. I don't communicate with people. And it's like, it's such a, like, for me to actually tell somebody how I really feel, like that was that seems like landing on Mars until a couple years ago, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest shift I've had in the past couple of years is you add during that time, leading with insecurity, leading with fear. I was courageous because I was too stupid to know better. It wasn't like, yo, I'm standing on solid ground and this is the calculated risk I want to take. This is who I want to be. It was more like I had people in my ear telling me I was great. So I was like, well, I'm great. And then people telling me, oh, you're bad. And I'd say, well, I'm bad. And not having that kind of internal like affirmation that I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and yoga fits in with this a lot because it was the same time period where I was like, it was after probably a year or two ago where I was like, I just need to focus on myself, learn how to like write, sing, produce, record, and just be me.
Yeah.
And not get affirmation from other people, you know?
Right. Well, and I think
What they
nothing
think about me.
in my
If they like my
experience-
music, that's great. If they don't, that's great too. I know I fucking love it, you know?
Right. And
So-
in my experience, nothing causes more anxiety or depression than not allowing yourself to be who you really are.
Well, that's the thing too. And then it was like at the same time I found myself in a relationship where I felt half alive and I felt I couldn't be myself. To the point where other people were picking up on it. Like Catherine was like, "Man, you're not singing with emotion." And I'm like, "Why is that?" And then I said, "Oh, because I'm in a relationship where I've cut myself off."
Ugh.
And it's like if you try to cut the sad out of your life by hiding in someone else, you're going to cut the happiness out too. And you're going to be in this awful mid level where you don't feel anything.
Right.
So like, and it got to a point too where like my clothes were all black. I had no color in my wardrobe. So
That's sure changed.
right, but it goes
Mr.
like
Furley.
to circle back to where Furley.
Mr. Furley sometimes.
Oh no.
You dress
No.
like Mr. Furley.
So to like circle back to like where we are here, when I have a teenager coming up to me after these shows and they're like, you were so genuine and authentic and I love it. For me, that's like the biggest compliment.
I agree.
Because I had to work so much to get to a point where I was like, I'm okay with being myself. If other
People
people
are
like
drawn
it,
to
that's great.
that.
Well, yeah, you know,
Especially teenagers, because they're still trying to
they're
figure
trying to
that
figure
shit
it out
out.
too. Yeah, it's hard being a teenager right now. So I think to go back to that, like I'm thankful for everything. You know, it's like I'll have days where I'm like, yo, I'm almost dead. Like this is freaking me out. You know, like I wish I
Well,
would have done more with my
If
life.
you're almost
but-
dead, I'm double almost dead. So let's
yeah,
not talk
well,
about
okay.
that.
I mean, it's like everybody's on their own path, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm just thankful to be. The biggest thing. The biggest thing too was the last thing I'll say was I didn't enjoy playing shows and being on stage. Like I loved it, but I couldn't let myself enjoy it. And now I'm having the time of my life.
Well, that's great.
And that makes a difference because I'm like, if
it
you're not,
does. I mean, if you're not having fun.
then go work at a bank or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, thank you again so much for coming and
Thank you, guys.
chatting with us today. This was really great. Braden, thank you for being here as well. Hope
Thank you so
can
much.
join us more regularly. I'm Tiffanie DeBartolo from Bright Antenna Records. This is Cocktails with Bright Antenna, and thanks for listening. One last cheers.
The show where I
Kyle.
make a drink and just drink it away.
Yeah, please come back and
Cheers.
see us again.
Kyle
yeah.
Every time
Nicolaides.
you're in
Anytime.
town,
Nicolaides.
we're going to do this.
This mom at a show said you got to make a shirt that says I got a case of Nicolaides.
Yep,
I think that's funny.
I like it.
A good mom joke, right?
We are just kids singing American hymns.
Remember to follow us on YouTube and your favorite podcast outlet. Be on the lookout for new music from Kyle Nicolaides, both solo and with his band Beware of Darkness, coming soon. You'll also want to check out our recent episode with In the Valley Below. We discussed their new album, The Pink Chateau, and the film they made to go with it that was inspired by French erotica. Meanwhile, listen to our episode with Second Line Vinyl, and you'll hear about how the founder went from marketing sausage to building Oakland's new vinyl manufacturing plant. And we have a very special podcast coming that celebrates Jeff Buckley and the release of a new graphic novel about his life, Grace, the Jeff Buckley Story. Be on the lookout for that one. It will include discussions of Jeff's life, his music, the process of creating a graphic novel, and musical performances from Wayne Kramer of the MC5, Kyle Nicolaides, and more. Thanks again for listening to Cocktails with Bright Antenna.
'Cause we are just kids singing American hymns.